If you've ever wanted a climbing shoe that can fold up and easily fit into your pocket, this is it. The Scarpa Furia Air is the lightest shoe on the market, weighing in at only 150 grams per shoe, and the most sensitive of any of the shoes that I've ever owned. Every curve, edge, and imperfection translated directly into your toes, and I mean that in the worst way possible. Like, holy crap, you can feel everything. Now, we'll get into the performance and whether I reckon it's a good shoe or not in a bit, but first, as always, let's take a look at what Scarpa have incorporated into the shoe design so that the overall purpose of the shoe isn't just lost with my opinions alone. The most obvious feature can be seen at a glance with the perforated micro suede upper, reducing the shoe's overall weight and maximizing breathability. You can see that in the outsole, the toe patch, the heel, and the power band, that this feature has also been incorporated, which on top of weight reduction also allows the shoe to flex in every which way. The design is built as a downturned asymmetrical shoe which uses a single Velcro strap system that weaves a Z-shaped pattern upwards to allow for a more custom fit around the foot, similar to laces. The heel utilizes a pressure absorbing fit system that's supposed to spread the force of the heel tension and help with fit and pull the foot forward to keep power down onto the big toe. The front of the foot is also wrapped in an M50 rubber that also helps direct power to the toes and maintain that pointed downwards pull that most would be familiar with already regarding more aggressive downturned models. Of course, this also acts as friction and protection for fancy toe hooks when needed. The midsole is sized at only 1mm, which lends to the overall lightness, flexibility, and sensitivity of the shoe, whereas the outsole utilizes excess grip too, measuring in at only 3mm, resulting in, as you guessed it, more flexibility, lightness, and sensitivity. The trade-off with such a thin rubber is the overall longevity will be compromised as there just isn't as much rubber to actually wear down. Now, with all that in mind, let's talk about my overall thoughts about how well the shoe actually performs with all the features that the shoe has been incorporated with, and in what areas the shoe truly shines in. Personally, aesthetically, I think that the shoe looks awesome in the blue and yellow colorway, even more of a plus right now in support of Ukraine. The Z-shaped strap holds everything together quite well, and the biggest thing to look for with these kinds of systems is the wear and tear on the strap itself or the eyelets. The solutions, for example, take quite a bit of wear on the strap, with the most common complaint being how quickly the strap ends up fraying and snapping altogether, or even with my Phantoms where the eyelet is what took most of the wear from toe hooks. The Furia Airs, however, thankfully don't suffer even a little bit from these issues, partially I think because the strap is actually thicker in width, which ends up just distributing the force a little bit better than the solutions. The positioning of the eyelets are also positioned much better than the Phantoms, with the first slot situated on the outside of the foot instead of the inside, which just keeps it away when toe hooking, which honestly is just such a simple consideration that it makes me wonder what Evolve were thinking with that design choice. The fit, I'd say, is quite tight but still pretty comfortable and suited for those with a narrower toe box. So if you're after a soft shoe with a wider fit, I'd say that the Dragos are probably going to be more down your alley. Overall, it still felt super comfortable and one of the only shoes I truly say doesn't really need breaking in out of the box. For sizing, I went a whole 2 sizes down from a US 7 to a US 5. Now, interestingly, because the shoe is meant more as an indoor shoe that excels in parkour type movements, the sizing I opted for probably isn't ideal since, as per my other shoes, my toes do curl up at the ends, which makes that freedom of foot movement just a little bit harder. It's something that you want when you're edging on tiny edges, but not so much when you're running and wanting more surface contact and wanting your toes to land flat so that you can actually use them to kick off. So personally, I'd probably end up sizing a half size or a full size up, which would actually alleviate the narrow toe box issue as well. Now, sizing up would mean a baggier fit on the heel and the toes, but quite frankly, these would not be my first choice for hard heel hooks or super fine edging anyway. At the size that I've got here, the heel already is quite baggy, so it wouldn't make much of a difference. That being said, heel hooks still feel quite secure due to the overall softness of the shoe, since the shoe essentially just collapses in on the dead space, meaning that it's more or less my actual heel inside doing most of the work and not the shoe. It really isn't much of an overstatement to say that this shoe is as sock-like as it gets. It's a weird feeling having the heel not feel as securely fitted as shoes like my Squamas or my Theories, but still having absolutely no issues just because the foot ends up being the one to connect and push on the rock, with just that little bit of extra protection coming from the shoe. Toe hooking is absolutely perfect with the shoe since it has maximum flexibility in every direction, giving your feet maximum dexterity to move exactly how you want them to. The M50 rubber that wraps the toe box also adds that extra level of friction and protection, and it's been perforated and also split down the middle, which also adds to its flexible nature. The gluing is a little sloppy being visible on the actual fabric of the shoe, but the construction has held up extremely well with no signs of delaminating, at least not yet. Now, edging is an interesting topic since the softness of the shoe makes edging exactly as expected. Super sensitive and non-supportive despite the claims that the 1mm flex in midsole will help. It means you can feel every imperfection and edge of a rock face and the little nubs on granite or plastic in indoor climbing. Painful? Absolutely if you're not used to this level of sensitivity, but on the other side, the argument from supporters of the uber soft is that the shoe trains you not to be overly reliant on the shoe itself and really develop clean, precise footwork and power to your toes. It's a shoe that rewards you in the long run by developing your toe strength and footwork and punishing laziness. What I'm saying is that if you climb like shit, don't buy these shoes. At least if you're not willing to change how you climb. Personally, I don't mind the super softness of the shoe for most climbs, but I am glad that I do have stiffer alternatives when I do have to power down on foot chips and not have to suffer the grueling agony that the Furia Airs would have me go through. Smearing performs perfectly fine, really not much to complain about in that department, since the shoe allows you to really just achieve maximum surface contact thanks to its flexibility. I think that once again, with such an indoor focused shoe that's designed for parkour type movements on volumes, it probably would have benefited more with a softer, stickier compound than XS Grip 2, since I really don't need any level of stiffness that the rubber would have provided. Sure, it wouldn't have the same longevity as it does now, but it's fine if you have that expectation to begin with. The trade-off of a stickier rubber and a shorter lifespan and just accepting the periodic resole every couple of months. But even then, because it is such a purpose-specific shoe, chances are you have a different pair you're mostly climbing in, and only changing out to these when needed, extending the time between resoles. When it comes to outdoor climbing, while I have seen some climbers post Instagram videos of them sending in the shoe outdoors, I wouldn't go out of my way to reach for these when it's time to go hard and project. That honor still goes to my current top pick, the Last Pativa Theories. But not one to knock it before I try it, I did use them on my last trip to the Grampians, and long story short, it's exactly what I expected. It's okay, did what I needed them to do, at least on the easiest stuff, but it feels as close to climbing barefoot as you can get. And whether that floats your boat or not, well, I'll leave that up to you. Overall, I think that the shoe is actually quite nice and feels super comfortable, but definitely a shoe that I'd be opting for only for a specific purpose. Specifically, running on volumes for more compy type climbs, and taking that into regard, I'd be sizing more for a comfortable fit to let the toes have a little bit more freedom and to move a little bit more naturally. I do also have to say, since I do have a wider toe box, even though I think that the Furia Airs look so much nicer than the Dragos, fit-wise, I'd have to give that to the Scarpa camp if I wanted another pair of super soft shoes. As always, if you want to pick up a pair, the link will be down in the description below. Even if you don't, consider crimping down on that like button since it just helps support me and the channel. Before you head out, I'd love to know which side of the camp you fall on as well when it comes to shoes. Do you prefer the super soft, flexible shoes like the Furia Airs and the Dragos? Or do you prefer something with a little bit more stiffness? Let me know down in the comments below and why. This is Bayrong. As always, remember to send rocks, not nudes. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you legends next time.